Duke meets Notre Dame for the national championship. Picked up by Kavanagh, who stings the top shelf. McCann fires on the empty net and hits. 4 unanswered for Duke. We are tied at 7. Now Chris Kavanagh from the crease, stopping. The goal is good. The Fighting Irish play like a champion today. Notre Dame with its first title in men's lacrosse.
We have a sellout crowd at Koskinen Stadium for a rematch of last year's national championship. The Kavanagh brothers have Notre Dame sitting at number 1 and eyeing title number 2. Reigning Tewaaraton Award winner Brennan O'Neill still looking for that elusive championship. Rub your hands together. 2 great coaches, 2 great programs. It's number 1 Notre Dame. It's number 3 Duke meeting for the first time since Memorial Day. Tight quarters here. Nish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra.
Too close for my comfort.
I could smell Quint Kesnick's breath, but these 2 teams, they can smell each other too. Top 2 teams in the RPI, 2 of the top 3 in the polls. A very good chance this season comes down to these 2.
It's April, the sun's out. We got a sellout crowd here, and in my eyes, this is round 1. It's going to be a multiple round fight. Perhaps the final being in Philly again.
And the stars are out today, and it starts with Duke's Brennan O'Neill. He's the unicorn of the sport. There's no one like him. He's 6'2", 240 pounds, an absolute wrecking ball, and his skill set is unmatched. He's a top 5 scorer in Duke lacrosse history. I think he's at his best when Duke moves him around all over the offensive sets. He is incredible to watch, but the kryptonite for O'Neill has been Notre Dame's defense. Only 3 points in the 2 contests a season ago.
Yeah, and in those 2 games, he shot 2 for 13 against the Irish. Quint, a big reason. Notre Dame's goaltender, the best in the country, Liam Entenmann.
A grad student from Long Island. The last 2 games, he's been an absolute brick wall. He checks all the boxes, whether it's his calm mind, the fast top hand, the communication to his defense, and the accurate clearing passes. He makes easy saves, routine, and then he puts that stuff out of who knows where. Incredible in tight stops.
He was the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament last year, including 18 saves in the championship game, which delivered Kevin Corrigan his first national championship. Irish began the season as preseason number 1. They're now back on top of the polls. Duke, Quint, I know you and I had Duke as our preseason number 1 on paper, maybe the most talented roster in the country.
Preseason, to me, everything aligns to maybe having a championship rematch. Notre Dame, in my eyes, has separated from the pack offensively. Duke's defense is what stands out.
Well, I think Duke needs to figure out their midfield punch.
Will Lynch and Jake Naso from 2 rival Long Island high schools. One of the subplots when these 2 teams play. Duke, a heavy St. Anthony's flavor. Notre Dame, a heavy Chaminade flavor. Lynch from Chaminade, Naso from St. Anthony's to get us started. Notre Dame with the ball and in goal. They've got a terrific freshman, Patrick Jamison. They love his ability in terms of stopping shots. This Duke defense has been the strength of its team. Eric Dobson leading the wing. Now Devon McLane, the Brown transfer. Played attack at Brown, a midfielder for the Irish. 14 in blue is Jordan Faison. This is Pat Kavanagh. Skip pass. Dobson thought about it. Instead feeds McLean. Turned away by Jamison. And the Blue Devils will now set up their clear. Or will they? No. Duke stepped in the crease, and they'll give it back to the Irish.
Jamison has to be careful, Quint, with the rebounds when Jake Taylor is running around the crease area. And I think the freshman Jamison has been spectacular, making saves and actually corralling the ball.
And the Kavanaghs as well.
Faison coming down the alley, missed the cage.
Faison draws the pole of Duke's defense, number 7, Will Frisoli. Meaning Dobson, big number 8 in blue, covered by a short stick.
Chris Kavanagh working on Henry Bard. Kavanagh's the team's leading scorer. Faison plays for the Notre Dame football team, a wide receiver, MVP of the Sun Bowl. Here's Pat Kavanagh, and he gets the scoring started for the Fighting Irish.
You can't give this offense second chances. A missed opportunity in terms of Duke closing the door and getting the ball to their offensive end. You see right here, Jamison makes this save, but Kenny Brower, he corrals it, but he goes in the crease, so then it's in and out, and now it's all Pat Kavanagh.
One of the strengths in Pat's game is his positional versatility. He can dodge from the low spots on attack. He can also take the ball up top, and that time he runs downhill. Pat Kavanagh having a Tuaretan-like season.
He continues to close in on Randy Colley's all-time points record at Notre Dame. Face-off violation on the Irish. First possession for Duke, and we get to see this loaded attack. Josh Zawada, the Michigan transfer, where he was the Wolverines' all-time leading scorer. Brennan O'Neill, who had one of the best individual seasons in the history of the game last year, ACC Player of the Year, Tuaretan Award winner, and then MVP of the World Games in San Diego. And you've got Dyson Williams, one of the great goal scorers in the history of Duke lacrosse. Here's Andrew McAdorey, the speedy midfielder. Over to the wing, and the freshman Max Sloat, the lefty, the red shirt, gets Duke even.
Way too easy for Duke. McAdorey is last out of the substitution box. He's the party starter.
He is, and you see the speed, the straight line speed. We saw so much of that of Andrew McAdorey as a freshman in 2022. When he comes out of the box and it is a foot race, he wins. Notre Dame knows they need to support that matchup. Max Sloat, low to high.
Fourteenth goal for Sloat, who only played 4 games last year before a broken wrist abruptly ended his season. He was able to get a red shirt. And Naso wins this face-off clean.
You know, with this high-powered attack I mentioned right before the first face-off, it's all about this midfield development. If you get a dose of Andrew McAdorey, Max Sloat, and the freshman Ben Johnson, 19 in white, this guy is a physical force, and he's got the skill with both hands to let it fly.
Second midfield coming on for Duke here. Balsamo, number 8 is Papendick, and 88, Aiden Denenza. Denenza works down the alley. O'Neill, Chris Conlon drawing the early assignment on Brennan O'Neill. Balsamo working on Alakwa. Now Zawada against the freshman Light. Off the stick of Denenza. Duke able to recover. Here comes O'Neill. And his pass picked off by Entman.
You know, it's interesting. They're putting Conlon 20 in blue on O'Neill. He's a lefty. I thought maybe Sean Light, the freshman who's been getting all the #1 matchups, who's a righty, naturally could play O'Neill.
Big takeaway by Jake Wilson. He's forced toward the sideline.
That's his team strength for Notre Dame, the ability to ride and make the next play. You'll see them occasionally turn the ball over on offense, or the goalie makes a save, but the Kavanaghs and company click and change gears so fast and hunt the ball.
Yeah, they're rabid. They will chase you down. Such a big part of their game. Payback on the defenders when they're clearing.
And Notre Dame will get it back. The Irish working their second midfield in. Riley Gray, 17. Will Angrick, number 10. And Max Buzenkill, who Kevin Corrigan has dubbed Luka, like Luka Doncic. He says he's not going to beat anybody, but he finds a way. Pat Kavanagh against Kenny Brower. All-American against All-American. Kavanagh turns, fires, and he's got a second.
Here's the riding opportunity. They just hunt. That could have been a push with possession from the rear, but these referees letting them play today.
I like the variety of Pat Kavanagh's dodges. His first goal was on the other side of the field. He's dodging Kenny Brower, who's so comfortable behind the cage in that goal line, extended a lot up top, kind of getting him out of his comfort zone.
And that shot, overhand release to a low location, just freezing Jamison, the rookie.
And Kark, to your point, one of the things Pat Kavanagh does so well, he's not an attackman who's only comfortable in one spot. You can put him anywhere on the field. It's positionless lacrosse for Notre Dame offensively.
There's two players that kind of ring a bell for me that were attackmen that dodged like that from all over the field. Lyle Thompson when he was at Albany, and Connor Fields. They take defenders out of their natural habitat, and they dodge from all different unpredictable spots.
And it also takes the defenders' teammates out of their natural habitat. So there are different slide responsibilities. There are different second slide responsibilities. Chris Wojcik, the OC at Notre Dame, has done a wonderful job moving Kavanagh.
Here comes Sloat, sledgehammers down the alley. His pass picked off by Ben Ramsey. Both of these teams have superb rope units. Ramsey, he's a threat in transition. Pinballs off of McAdorey. They've got McAdorey trapped now. And we're going to have a penalty offsides against Notre Dame. Count them up. They had too many. Ben Johnston fires a rocket. Zawada's got the backup. 19 and 15, two freshmen on that first midfield. Part of the reason, if you play them on the second midfield, there's a chance they get the pole. At least one of them does. And Duke wants them to work against shorties.
Natural grass surface here. They had a lot of rain last weekend.
Here's Dyson Williams, one of the best finishers in Duke history. He's top 5 in goals. Give him one more, the 188th of his career.
Duke's offense this year has been dodge, score a goal, or dodge, feed Dyson Williams or Brennan O'Neill. I have not seen very many multiple pass goals, but the alley dodge draws the slide. It's just a late second slide.
You know, Ben Johnson's only a freshman too. I've been impressed when you watch him on tape, his ability to feed off the dodge. Dyson Williams scores probably 90 to 95% of his goals left-handed. That time, catches it right hand, traditional high-to-high finish.
And he did a nice job following the defender. So the defender slides to the ball carrier. You just follow him to make that second slide have more distance.
Williams, the number 1 pick in the NLL draft. His line mate, Brennan Williams, the presumptive number 1 pick in the PLL draft. Here comes Duke. Naso. Over to O'Neill, feeding inside. Zawada denied by Entenmann. Quint, goalie to goalie. What impresses you about Liam Entenmann's reflexes?
Steady. His pipe-to-pipe ability has improved dramatically in the last 2 years. You know, I didn't, when he first showed up on the scene, I didn't love his balance, but now he's moving so effectively from side to side, from back to front. He's always got good balance. He's always ahead of the pass, therefore ready to use his reactions on the shot release.
Here comes Dobson. He's got the short stick. Faison could not find it.
I actually think this is a good matchup for Duke with a short stick because Aidan McGuire is defending Dobson. He's about as physical as it gets from a defensive midfield perspective. He will swallow you up. He loves contact, so this is a big-on-big matchup here right now.
Dobson's been getting the shorty lately, and he's been moving the defense. There's the slide, finding Taylor on the inside. It's Jamison with the doorstep denial.
Well played by Jamison. I like the pattern by Notre Dame, but the goalie shuts it down with a severe angle. I think Duke's slide mentality, Kark, is something that fans need to watch in this game. Typically, they've been slow to go, slow to support, leaving their defenders on an island.
Unforced error in the clearing game.
Good point. That's why Pat Kavanagh has 2 goals unassisted. They want their ace, Kenny Brower, to be able to own his one-on-one matchup. They're not going to slide from him.
Clearing was dicey in Duke's loss to Penn on a rainy March evening. They lost that game in the middle of the field.
Well, they played Boston University in less than ideal conditions and were sloppy. They did win that game, however.
It's amazing how that field held up. I watched that game about 10 days ago.
Oh my gosh, it was a lake.
Mess.
It's a lake.
Looks great today.
Here comes Buzenkill. He's picked up by Will Frizzoli, an outstanding LSM. Now it's Chris Kavanagh against Henry Bard. Kavanagh turbines around the crease. Gives it up to his brother Pat. Brower sticking with Pat Kavanagh, who's got 2 unassisted goals. Now picked up on the switch by Tyler Carpenter. Less than 15 to shoot. Gray looking for the crease feed off the stick of Buzenkill. Taylor will retrieve. Shot clock down to 7. Down to 5. Kavanagh puts his body into the defender, and that's going to be a shot clock violation.
Fans love it.
Defense.
Yeah, fans love it. I tell you, Brower with the cross check, the back slap.
Yeah, he's getting physical with Kavanagh. That's a matchup, 29 in white, 51 in blue. We're going to feature that all day long.
Hayden McGuire. Duke's got a quartet of short stick D middies, and McGuire, O'Connor, Gray, and Caputo.
As deep as any.
Next level athletes. McGuire is a freak. 23 in white.
Yeah, I was at practice on Tuesday, and the way that he plays the body and he initiates contact with offensive players, like he is making his presence felt every time someone has the ball on him.
Papendick spins it back to Denenza. Gets a pick from Zawada. Zawada, his skip pass for Balsamo tipped. It'll stay with the Blue Devils. Papendick skirts down the alley, plays it back to Zawada. Denenza against the short stick Harris. Good ball movement. Balsamo left-hand free. Bounce shot, save Entenmann.
That's a great stop right there.
He made it look easy, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Offside low with that little half a cradle, the little twist at the end.
The anticipation also to understand Balsamo is
moving
coming
moving
left, and he's going to put it across his body to the far side.
Anticipation without cheating.
Here is Faison, MVP of the Sun Bowl. Quint, Notre Dame's the only lacrosse team in the history of the sport with 2 bowl game MVPs on its roster. They also have Tyler Buckner, who was the 2022 Gator Bowl MVP, former Notre Dame quarterback.
14 in blue is a different cat, okay? He's got separation quickness. He scored a goal in every single game this year, and he's shooting 50% from the midfield.
Kavanagh.
Every time we've seen him, Anish, he gets better.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. This guy who didn't play in the fall, too.
Pat Kavanagh's got a short stick.
They're going to go early here.
Wow. How about the defense? He got a little too much. Jack Gray.
Be careful.
And now
Be careful.
The temper's flaring.
I think 51's going to get a foul here.
They don't like each other.
No. It was only a matter of time. The boiler room starts to pop.
They don't like each other, and why would they?
That title game last year was an absolute war. The Kavanaghs will not back down to anybody.
They were put together in the title game with duct tape. Laid it all on the line. Maybe smaller than any defender they'll play, but the heart, the grit, and the fight, they're not backing down.
Check. Contact.
Full time. No parole.
Yep.
Cross check.
Jack Gray.
So now you're putting the best man-up unit in the country by far.
It's ridiculous.
With a
75%.
non-releasable opportunity here on the extra man.
And that's a great point, too, because you also have Will Lynch, who's facing off at a crazy clip, too. So if you score and you get the ball back from Lynch, even though you're going against Naso, there's Jack Gray, 1 minute, unreleasable.
When we talked to John Danowski this week, he said he was hoping that his team would level up to this game, to ramp up. You sense that in the first quarter.
Notre Dame 15 out of 20 with the extra man this season. That is absurd.
Yep. Got to watch 13 in blue. He's a crease manipulator.
Make it 16 out of 21. Devon McLane with the man-up goal. And there's still plenty of time on this extra man, so now Notre Dame faces off 3-on-2.
This unit cashes in at 75%. This man up comes because there's a ton of heat between these squads. They met on the final Monday in May a season ago. Pat Kavanagh doesn't like it. Duke goes into the box, and the Brown transfer, Devon McLane, stinging it high.
This is the third straight meeting between Notre Dame and Duke, with both in the top 5. The Irish have won the last 4. From top to bottom, these are maybe the 2 most complete teams in college lacrosse. They both return a lot of the usual suspects from that championship game on Memorial Day. And as we said at the very top of the broadcast, Quint, it would surprise nobody if we saw these 2 teams playing on championship weekend again.
If you watch games this year, Notre Dame, to me, has put the best product on the field from start to finish so far this season. There's no undefeated teams in Division I. Notre Dame's got the 1 loss to Georgetown. But they put a great 60 minutes on paper against Michigan, and then came back against Syracuse and played superb second and third quarter.
And I think it's the consistency of their offensive midfield that you alluded to. Guys like Faceoff, right? And the second midfield emergence.
Can play fast, can play slow. And that was a huge face-off win.
Yeah, Notre Dame, again, still has the extra man advantage for another 30 seconds. It was a non-releasable penalty on Jack Gray.
So they shut off Jake Taylor in the slot area, 13 in blue. And it looks like they're playing a 4-man rotation on the perimeter.
Taylor has 9 career man-up goals, 3 this season.
He's the result of any perimeter action right now because of how they're locking him off inside.
So it's a 4-man box or diamond on a rotation. Somebody's going to have an outside shot.
Or the back sides.
You can see how much attention Taylor's drawing in the interior. Dobson and Pat Kavanagh play catch. Now the ball movement, the wing shot, McLane, saved by Jamison.
The wings will be wide open in the extra man consistently if Duke decides to play Jake Taylor this way. And I don't blame him, because Jake Taylor isn't just a goal scorer at the top of the crease in extra man. He can pass too.
He's the hub man up there. That's really good orchestration by Ronnie Caputo, Duke DC.
Duke waiting for its personnel.
O'Neal been a little quiet so far, 34 in white, right?
I'm surprised he's not going to take Marco Napolitano there, who's an inside crease defender, not a perimeter matchup guy typically.
McAdorey's got an assist. It is marked by Dobson.
It amazes me, Anish, how Duke just doesn't run their offense through Brennan O'Neal on every possession.
He should touch the ball every single possession.
McAdorey absorbs the hit from Dobson. Behind the cage to Zawada. He's got a mismatch now. Where's the slide coming from?
Good D by Dobson, the offensive midi.
Zawada with Dobson trying to stay with him. Passes to McAdorey. Conlon got a stick on it. It comes back to Johnston, rolling toward the sideline. And it will be Notre Dame ball. And Brennan O'Neal didn't touch the ball there. Kark, to your point, in Duke's 2 losses this season, O'Neal was quiet. He was 1 for 8 shooting against Penn, 1 for 11 against Syracuse, and in both those games, only 8 of his shots were on goal.
And you look back to last year, the 2 losses against Notre Dame, 3 points combined. Chris Fake was the cover man on O'Neal, and I thought he matched up beautifully in terms of strength and that big lumbering right-handed slap check. If I'm O'Neal right now, I'm testing these matchups early. They don't have a Chris Fake right now.
Duke seems so stubborn to run their team offense when the easy thing to do is get the ball to O'Neal and then play your team offense off of him.
Booze and kill against O'Connor. Chris Kavanagh gets inside. Great trail check by Gray. Off the ground, Carpenter. He's a vacuum.
Good help inside from the Duke D. They got trailers here.
Yeah, they had Frizzoli, who's capable as a long pole. Johnston, hard bouncer, and Riley Gray wins the backup closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds on a shot awarded possession.
Such a smart play by Gray, who had 2 goals against Syracuse early. Veteran player, enormous. You saw him in warm-ups walking by us. There's like shadows.
6'4", another one of the Chaminade contingent for Notre Dame.
So we've seen Dobson play defense. We've seen Riley Gray chase a shot out. It's everybody, right? It's everybody.
Face on, picked up by Frizzoli. Good matchup here.
He's been getting the pull. He's a freshman for the last month and a half, it seems like, and he does not shy away from these matchups, giving Dobson, the senior, the short stick.
Dobson draws the slide, now picked up by Carpenter. Final 30 seconds, quarter number 1. Notre Dame with a 3-2 lead. The Kavanaghs have had a hand in all 3 Irish goals. Pat with 2 tallies, Chris with an assist. Here's Chris Kavanagh, his pass, picked off by Frazzoli. Final 10 ticks, Henry Bard. Over to Caputo. Gotta go, now O'Neal, 5 seconds. O'Neal gets to the left hand, bounces it offline with 8/10 of a second left.
Thing just rockets out of his stick.
Time expires, 1 quarter in the books. And this championship game rematch, again, feeling like a heavyweight bout. Notre Dame connected first with Pat Kavanagh. Duke had the answer. Back and forth we've gone. It's 3-2 Irish after 1. (3-2) Notre Dame started the second quarter. Brennan O'Neal, the Duke megastar, a non-factor in that opening quarter.
1 shot, maybe 1 dodging attempt. This guy, he's humble, he's likable, he's coachable. I just think with his combination of skill, power, speed, and experience, the superpowers, that he's got to touch the ball and be a much stronger presence on every Duke offensive possession.
And look, Notre Dame, I think defensively might even be better than a year ago because their short sticks and the maturation of that unit are fantastic. Liam Entenmann's a year older. They're just so in sync. But they don't have the big physical guy like Chris Fake. So if I'm O'Neal right now, I'm saying to myself, last year you got the best of me, but you had this big battering ram playing on me. Now it's my time to go. And I know there's a guy like Sean Light who's a freshman who might be a multiple-time first-team All-American. Brendan O'Neal's the best player in the world.
And you know where I want to see him dodge from in this game based on those matchups? Top of the box, like he did for Team USA against Canada.
Coming downhill.
MVP of the World Championships. With the best players all around him, he was the most outstanding player in San Diego. So his skill set and what he brings to the table is unmatched.
Now, the 3 of us left San Diego last summer going, whoa, Duke's going to be a problem for everybody in 2024.
He's the only guy that honestly, skill set, size, speed, that combination that I've seen that's close to Gary Gait.
Face-offs 4-3 in favor of Duke. Irish with the 1-goal lead. Notre Dame at 6-1. Only loss came in overtime against Georgetown. Duke at 10-2. They've played 12 games already. The losses to Penn and to Syracuse, but wins against Denver, wins against Loyola, Princeton, and Richmond as well. Here comes Pat Kavanagh. That's a save. Taylor the rebound.
He's able to get that look whenever he wants it.
A few times he's gotten the best of Brower from that high wing. Had that spot again. Face on against Wilson. Now Dobson. Can he hunt against the short stick? Dobson feeding Taylor. Twister not there. Brower vacuums.
Good D by Carpenter inside, and Brower there to clean up the loose change.
Duke now looking for the equalizer. McGuire against Faceon, who they've got on defense now. The freshman Light marking Zawada, 90 in blue. You mentioned it, has a chance to be a special defender.
Oh, yeah. Been an eraser. Does all the little things. Kevin Corrigan told us how smart he is. You tell him something once, he absorbs it. Rarely makes a mistake twice. The IQ and the way he's a student of the game.
McAdorey against Faceon. Faceon can match the speed of a McAdorey.
McAdorey wants his right.
Gets to the top side, missed the cage. Sloat will trigger against Will Donovan, one of the unsung heroes of championship weekend last year. Now Zawada against Light, using the pick. Skip pass, Johnston, step down, save, Entenmann. Rebound high in the air, Conlon had it. It's knocked loose, And it comes back to Zawada. Shot clock reset, back to 60. No possession was gained. If possession had been gained by Notre Dame and Duke got it back, you would have gotten the full 80. Now McAdorey looking to get top side and got the shot, but missed the cage, falling down.
Last 4 games, Duke offense has not been clicking as it had been prior. They only scored 4 goals in that loss to Syracuse in the Dome.
They shot 24% in the last 4 games.
Not seeing multiple pass goals. That is dodge, pass, 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 shot, goal.
Zawada's got the short stick face on. Conlon got a stick on the pass.
Everything's either a dodge to a shot or a dodge to a jamming it to a teammate for the shot. You need to see multiple pass goals from Duke.
Ramsey up ahead, over the head of Donovan. And Notre Dame turns it over on the clear. There's been some sloppiness. 6 turnovers for the Irish, 7 for Duke.
I think it's pressure, Clark.
I also think it's a lot of new faces and mixing and matching the midfielders too. We see sometimes up to 7, 8, 9 midfielders playing offense for Duke and it's finding a groove. I thought last year Charles Balsamo was a big fixture in the offense. A lot of times getting a short stick. He has the ball now. I think we need to see more of a dose of him. Get him involved too, because I think as a freshman last year, he was phenomenal at times.
Gutsy. Game winner against Syracuse. Here he is. Great change of direction, strong left hand.
Picked up by Light. That means Zawada's got the shorty, feeding to Nenza. Bang. Duke got the switch. That got Notre Dame out of sync, and the Blue Devils capitalize.
And that's the passing that these fans in Durham love to see. Starts with sloppiness from Notre Dame. Ramsey on the clear. Carries up left-handed. I mean, that's right in the breadbasket. That's a play you got to make.
And then you have a dose of Charles Balsamo who starts this play. And then it's tic-tac-toe. 88 in white, Aiden Denenza, who's had some big games. When Duke lost to Penn on a Friday night, I thought that was the best game of his career with 4 goals. He willed that team back into that matchup.
It was the best game of his career.
There you go. That's why I have you here next to me.
Captain Obvious has a tip jar too, Kirk.
Feels like Denenza's been around forever, right?
It does. He's been a fixture, though. He's been a steady player. We've seen him yo-yo back at times between that first and second midfield. He gives John Danowski a veteran presence. Food for thought, though, Quint. You've got the 2 freshmen, Sloat and Johnston. We know their upside. I think Johnston's secured a place on that first midfield. Do you think about bumping up someone with more experience, maybe a Balsamo to that first midfield?
Sloat's a lefty, Balsamo's a lefty, so they're probably interchangeable.
Brower into the grill of Kavanagh. Now Angrick, who missed all of last season with an injury. 10 and blue has scored in 3 straight.
Duke's doing a nice job in their one-on-ones.
Oof. That one off the pipe.
Hammered that one. That's Duke's ball.
Fulton Bayman with the shot.
Good run out by Jack Gray. 20 in white, closest to the ball when it went out of bounds on a shot. That's Duke ball. I actually think Balsamo should be bumped up to the first, and I'll tell you why. Right now he's on the second, he's getting a pole. If you put him up on the first, he plays with McAdorey, who's getting the pole. Ben Johnson then gets a short stick. That guy's a monster. And then Balsamo can marinate in some possessions against a shorty.
And he also can invert and get some behind-the-goal presence, something Duke really doesn't have right now.
Did you see what Notre Dame just did? They were called for an offsides penalty. Had a guy come back. They said, no, we're already offsides.
And then you send him.
Throw the 7th guy back out there to play defense 7 on 6.
Why wouldn't you? The infraction already happened.
Got some offensive middies caught here on D.
Here comes Johnston. Gets free all the way to the cage. That didn't go. Notre Dame picks it up. We'll get the stoppage. Free play here for Duke. Out of the scramble, the Blue Devils have it. O'Neal now against Conlon, gives it up. Only 1 shot in the game for Brennan O'Neal. He's scoreless. Penalty coming against Notre Dame. McAdorey has Angrick trapped on defense. McAdorey turns the corner. Now O'Neal loves dodging from that wing. Good trail check. I think that was Bergmaster coming in, the bagpiper, and Duke will go man up.
How are you rating Bergmaster this year, Quint?
He's one of the best all-time bagpipers in Notre Dame history. He's had a long career. Last year, aided by Brian Tevlin, the transfer from Yale coming in. I mean, who knew that Tevlin would be captain, bagpiper, and multiple national champions in this program?
Yeah, this one's offsides. Last year, the bagpipe situation at Notre Dame. 2-quarterback system. Now it's Bergmaster's time to shine.
I worry about the future. Coach Corrigan in midseason form, he takes his hat off.
Woo. He seemed happy.
He was excited. I got to spend a lot of time with him down on the field, as you guys did. I asked him, I said, you still get pumped for these games? He goes, oh yeah, I still feel it. I got to stay away from my guys pregame. Don't want to give them any vibes either way.
Man-up opportunity for Duke. McAdorey to Denenza. Trying to feed Dyson Williams, and Dyson Williams cashes in. His second of the game, his 7th man-up goal of the season.
Duke faithful loves it. Sellout crowd at Koskinen. Quint, look at the shot location on this one.
Denenza, top of the arc. Dyson just flashes towards him. He's really covered well, but the shot goes from a high release to the offside low corner. This is a thing of beauty.
Oh, yeah. That
changes levels. 3/4 arm release. It pings the corner.
Did it with pressure on his bottom hand, too. #1 draft pick in the upcoming NLL season. You see how he's been a phenomenal inside presence for so long. Father Sean was a legendary box player as well.
So much more versatile last summer, playing for Team Canada as a ball carrier, as a dodger. Sometimes I think he's compartmentalized in this Duke system.
I go back and forth. I think those teams that he went to the goal against in the World Games, because he wasn't doing that against Team USA.
Tomato cans?
Look, in all due respect, Australia's defense, England's defense, Iroquois' defense, those teams, Japan's defense, those defenses aren't even as well equipped as a 20th or 30th ranked team in college lacrosse. That's the reality of it.
You notice when you always say, with all due respect, there's usually not a lot of respect that follows. Just an observation. Here comes Pat Kavanagh. He's got the short stick. O'Connor. Chris Kavanagh kissed the stone. The Kavanagh brothers team up for the 34th time in their career.
Those in green on their feet. Pat Kavanagh now got 3 points in this ball game. Watch him draw the double team on the rollback. Able to get 2 hands on the stick. Finds his brother, who singes a corner. This view will be scintillating.
The Kavanaghs have had a hand in all 4 Notre Dame goals today. They've chirped a little. Pat and Kenny Brower have had their battles. Pat Kavanagh scored 2. He's assisted on 1. Chris Kavanagh, a goal and an assist.
I like the variety of his dodging and the way that he's attacking Kenny Brower. Kenny Brower's so physical, wants to get into the body. The last goal, he gets the short stick, and when Pat Kavanagh has a short stick, he dances and he probes because he knows the slide's going to come and someone's going to be open on the backside.
You can talk about production. I love their intangibles. You can count on them bringing the heat every single week. They scrap. They play with a competitive edge that's really rare. I mean, honestly, I put them on the Mount Rushmore of effort guys, of juice players. They bring it every single week.
Now, Will Lynch bumped into the official on the face-off, and they're going to give the ball to Duke. Naso over to Denenza. He's got 2 points. Denenza face dodge to the cage. Entenmann going down to preserve the 5-hole.
That was a fantastic move by Denenza, too, because he was able to cut through the heart of that defense and then switched it over to his left to get that angle. What a stop by Entenmann.
Zawada now with the short stick. He's picked up by Parlett. Zawada looking for Williams. Instead, it comes back to McAdorey. Plenty of time to shoot. McAdorey picked up by the bagpiper Bergmaster.
This is what we talked about prior. Now Balsamo will always have that pull on him.
O'Neal camped out up top. Zawada against Marco Napolitano. Looking for the inside roll. It's not there. Zawada will try again. Here's Denenza. Parlett stays with him, 5 to shoot. Now O'Neal, first touch on this possession. O'Neal, lefty hammer, save by Entenmann.
That's an incredible stop. That ball is humming, 90 plus, offside. You know what's interesting,
I think he was sitting on it. I think he was sitting on it. You got Massapequa, Mudhen. You got 2 Island guys.
Yep.
I'm thinking they go way back. They go way back.
You know what I want to ask you, though, is as a goalie, how do you know to go under or over in that spot?
Here comes Harris. Bounce shot off the crossbar. That's no goal. Frizzoli picks it up for Duke.
The answer, Kark, it's a comfort level thing. It's also a shot release. Most of the time when O'Neal hits you with that jump shot, he's going to change levels.
Boy, that was awfully close. Watch the left side of your screen. That last goal, when it hits the crossbar.
Entire ball must cross the entire goal line. We do have video review. Easy call. No goal.
A chance here. Kavanagh turns, fires, and scores. 4 points in the opening half. He's got a hat trick. And Notre Dame retakes the lead at 5-4.
Last year when I spent a day with the Kavanaghs and shot a piece for Through X, the Kavanaghs showed me a drill, how they catch the ball all different spots, and it's just constant releases from different vantage points. This is all in the backyard. It's understanding where the ball is, where the cage is, and having the instincts, the improv, and the creativity. Just get a shot off when you really have nothing.
First transition goal of the game. Give Ramsey the credit for that assist. Just kind of pushing it. That hasn't always been the mentality in South Bend for the Fighting Irish.
Oh, we get a hold, and it belongs to Notre Dame.
You know, those are the type of goals that Pat Kavanagh scores that you think he's tailor-made for the PLL, right? The chaos, the up and down type of flow in that league. You know you're going to get a sure stick in a Pat Kavanagh that can make a play from nowhere.
Dobson rhinos down the alley, now takes it back to X. Here comes Bayman. Got topside with the left hand. Chris Kavanagh now back to Dobson. When he's got the shorty, it usually means a slide is coming. There it is, Carpenter. Taylor on the doorstep, looking for face-on. Back to McLane, and that's too easy. Fulton Bayman on the wing. It started with Dobson getting the defense moving, and Duke was never able to recover.
They give Pat Kavanagh a little breather. You got a guy coming off the Pines, off the bench. Interesting, I was talking to Coach Ryan Wellner of Notre Dame about these type of big games, and I said they're usually won by roster guys 14 through 22. Like, who comes off your bench and can contribute? There's Bayman.
Bayman, yeah, this is a beautiful shot. I think this play is all developed by Eric Dobson. You're not going to see anything statistically from Dobson on this goal, but he was the one that drew the defense. There was 3 shirts in white, all on the eyes of 8 in blue, and that's when the defense spun.
Part of our conversation with the coaching staff this week and before the game was about Dobson. His production, Quint, it doesn't jump out, but they brought up plays like that where Dobson taking advantage of the short stick, not hunting for a shot where he's forcing it, and instead moving the ball, and as a result, moving the defense.
8 in blue is a proven commodity. Florida product. Last year he had 34 goals. Grew up a Florida Gator fan. He was a huge Tim Tebow fan and used to dress up as Tebow every year for Halloween. But what I see is a guy playing within the framework of their offense, doing whatever it takes. Hockey assists, drawing double teams, few turnovers. I like what I'm seeing from Eric Dobson.
A Saturday and Sunday right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. Our two featured lacrosse matchups. First, on the women's side, it is number 4 Boston College against Virginia. And then on the men's side, Virginia and Duke. As of now, it's a top 3 matchup. That's Sunday at 2 Eastern. I believe that is Carr, Quint, and Cotter will be on the call for Virginia and Duke next Sunday. Headlines from around the ACC. Notre Dame's won 4 straight, 3 against ranked opponents. Virginia off to a 10-1 start. They demolished UNC yesterday. Duke coming off a bye week. Syracuse, one of its most demoralizing and crushing losses midweek against Cornell.
I want to ask you guys a question. As Syracuse only has 2 games in the month of April, tell me about Virginia's midfielder. I like Virginia's close defense. I like their attack. It's the middle of the field. I'm questioning. What did you see yesterday from Virginia midfield?
I've seen enough throughout the course of the last few weeks that Griffin Schutz is a first-team All-American type talent. He can dodge on a short stick, a long pole. He's basically cover-proof in regards to that. Like, you can go after poles when you have Schutz, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on his shoulders, I think, in terms of how good this midfield can be. That superstar, I think he's critical to the success, and I've seen enough from him to think that he's a bona fide star.
And that defense absolutely erased Carolina's attack. And don't sleep on Matthew Nunes. I know Liam Intamin gets most of the love as the best goalie in the country. Nunes' numbers have been off the charts. He has played like a first or second team All-American this year. O'Neal looking for that first tally, fires on the run. Boy, there was nothing subtle about that. Just couldn't get it on target.
And what you would love about Nunes, too, what we saw yesterday, his outlet passes were incredible.
He scored a goal 2 weeks ago at Harvard.
But it's
coast to coast.
Save, and in the motion of the save, it's almost like pass ready.
McAdorey against Donovan. Yeah, you make a bad shot against Nunes, and he makes a clean save. That's a turnover. That gets Virginia into transition.
And guys like Joey Terenzi, Noah Chismar, Ben Ware have become really their second midfield in terms of production.
Ben Ware's awesome.
A lot of goals. A lot of goals.
Zawada guarded by the freshman Light, who knocks it away. Sean Light's been a revelation for Notre Dame. His cousin Todd, you might remember, played football at Notre Dame, first-round pick in 1991, spent a decade in the NFL, winning a Super Bowl with the Rams.
I would be shocked if Sean Light leaves Notre Dame and he's not at least a 2-time first-team All-American.
Remember the game against Syracuse, Clark?
Awesome.
He held Joey Spallina to 1 goal, which came unsettled. And we get a timeout by Kevin Corrigan.
Held Braden Erksa from Maryland to nothing. He's been incredible. And if you look at him, too, athletically on the field before the game, he's so long, too. You know, he's not a 6'6" guy, but you feel like he has the wingspan of one.
Yeah, strong but flexible. He's from Seton Hall Prep in New Jersey. Really mature and got an old soul. Ryan Wellner telling us about how coachable he is.
As we move closer and closer into May Madness, we take a peek at the top 10. Top 4 teams as of now from the ACC. Syracuse is going to drop. Army, they're sitting there at 8-2. You had Hopkins Penn State yesterday, Quinn. What was your takeaway from the overtime win by the Blue Jays?
Pretty even game. Hopkins' defense was probably most impressive. Jay Serlin, their goalie. It was just a defensive, a low-scoring game. Penn State will drop. Hopkins right now, surprisingly, the #1 RPI and SOS, although the winner of this game you're watching right here will leapfrog them.
Clark, Georgetown had a couple of lapses early, and they've fallen off the radar. Very quietly, Georgetown has been ascending and playing well.
A lot like last year. Do you remember their February woes a season ago, and then they railed off, what, like 12, 13 straight wins?
It's eight right now.
It's 8 now, yeah. And they have the ace in the hole. Exactly, that's their ace in the hole. They beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. That is just going to propel them as they get into conference play.
Georgetown is at Denver next Saturday, and then we got the Ivy League. We haven't even mentioned Cornell will be in the top 10 after beating Syracuse on Tuesday.
Yeah, and Penn's about to go through the hard part of the Ivy League. They're 3-0 in conference play entering today.
Well, Penn actually yesterday lost to Yale.
Oh, that's right. Penn lost to Yale yesterday.
So the Ivy League now, everyone's got 1 loss, right?
Yep. It could end up going to a tiebreaker.
It will. It always does. There was like 36 permutations last year. Remember that?
Well, this year it's important because there's no neutral site for the Ivy League championship. New York City is out of play, and the top seed will host the tournament. That's a big deal. Eric Dobson picked up by Jack Gray. Gray into the body of Dobson, gets his left hand free. Gray altered the shot.
There's the short stick physicality of Duke. These guys are physical to another level. There's no unit in college lacrosse that plays that smash mouth style.
Chris Kavanagh whips it wide. Remember Zach Goodrich at Towson?
Yeah.
I actually think there's times where you want to put these shorties on the best middies because they win the leverage game. I think some of these guys have an easier time beating poles.
Pat Kavanagh up top. Dobson unleashes a hammer but missed the mark.
Like the skip pass from Kavanagh.
Here we go again. Kavanagh and Brower. Two of the best at their craft. Little two-man game. Kavanagh got free. McLane went back to set the pick. It gave Kavanagh that opening. He's got 4 in the first half.
That is a ridiculous move.
Yes. Yes, it is.
He's got Brower in the wash, spinning back and forth, spinning back and forth. Watch the choreography and the footwork of Kavanagh as he uses the pick and changes direction. It's one, come back, and then zigzag again. Brower's got the goal in his way, and he beats him to the goal line extended.
What impressed me the most about this is once he trips Brower behind the goal, he knows the pressure is coming in front of him, and Brower is going to recover. He knows he has to shoot that shot with almost zero angle.
Timeout, John Danowski. Duke had taken a 4-3 lead on the man-up goal by Dyson Williams. Notre Dame responds with 4 straight. What's changed?
What's changed is Pat Kavanagh has come to dance today, and Brennan O'Neill has been no factor. Right? Pat Kavanagh's got 4 goals. Brennan O'Neill, the other Tualatin caliber player in this game, 0 on 4 shots.
I think it comes down to a situation where if you're in the huddle offensively with Duke, whether it's Matt Danowski, the offensive coordinator, or Brennan O'Neill, the star player, like one of them has to demand the ball to be in his stick. It's not like he's having unsuccessful runs at his defender. Like last year, he would go at Chris Fake, and Chris Fake was ready. We haven't seen that today. We're just not even seeing him being assertive to try the matchup.
But this isn't the first time we've seen this movie, Quinn. We've seen this before where if he's not involved, it almost seems Duke is okay with it as long as in their eyes they're following the flow of their system and their offense.
We're talking about one of the greatest players in college lacrosse history who's ringless right now and whose legacy, look, it's not going to tarnish my viewing of his legacy, but to walk out of here without a national championship and all that he's accomplished would be a little bit upsetting. I need to see the ball in his cross more, or I need to see him be the adjacent man offensively to put his defender in a bind.
I think when you think of legacy, you think of 2 things. You think of greatest player and greatest winners. Like if Caitlin Clark doesn't win
that's what I was going to say. If she defers tonight, like I'm turning off the TV. Because you know, watching that game tonight, that she's going to get her shots.
But
she's
you
going to
also
take her
know,
shots.
even if they lose to an undefeated South Carolina, she's maybe the greatest college basketball player ever, right?
Most impactful.
But that doesn't mean she's the greatest winner, right? There's
Diana Taurasi was a 3-time champion. Sue Bird was a 2-time champion.
They also had the pieces.
Diana Taurasi was a 2-time National Player of the Year.
How many women right now would start on Iowa? Or how many women from Iowa would start on South Carolina?
Probably 1, for sure.
Okay, so.
South Carolina's a loaded team. That's going to be a fun watch this afternoon. Here comes Dobson. Good look.
I mean, if you made a football analogy, Anish, is this like watching Patrick Mahomes hand the ball off and the Chiefs running the ball instead of playing to his strengths?
Depends, right? If the defense is giving you a light box, probably going to run. But I'm with you. They need to get O'Neill more involved. Chris Kavanagh.
And at the end of the day, what you want to see is either player, coach, someone say, get Brennan the ball.
Looks like Duke's changed the matchup on Pat Kavanagh. Looks like Henry Bard covering him now.
Dobson picked up by McGuire. Kenny Brower's got to deal with the other Kavanagh. Chris with his right hand free. Upstairs, Penthouse Parm That's 5 unanswered for the Irish.
Everyone talks about the creativity of the Kavanaghs, and that's a fact. The other piece is Chris Kavanagh's ability to shoot the rock with range. What he does here is once he beats his defender, he knows there's really no follow-up there, Quint. He actually has the time to set his feet. A lot of times when you start a dodge from up top and there's no switch or the switch is late, you continue down the alley to shoot. He knows there's zero pressure around him. Plant the feet, get the form involved.
And if you watch that play again, Jordan Faison does a nice job. He was the wing midi. He clears through, his defender turns and follows him, freeing up that space so there isn't that second slide. But really good deceleration by Kavanagh there to give himself a feet set look.
Precisely. And that takes a lot too, because you know when you're sweeping across the top part of the goal, you're always kind of moving your feet, continuing to move to the goal. He stopped his feet because that allowed the velocity and the torque in that shot.
Now, right now, it feels like Duke is trudging uphill. Loose ball hold, possession back to Notre Dame. They're on a 5-0 run. The Kavanaghs today have had a hand in 7 of the 8 Notre Dame goals. Sellout crowd at Koskinen Stadium. They've been quiet for the bulk of this second quarter. About a 2-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock, so Notre Dame will let this bleed a little bit before they go. Angrick controls, shadowed by Jack Gray. Angrick, the junior from Bethesda, Maryland. Gray, the junior out of California. Now Angrick wheels down the alley. Skip pass to Riley Gray. Gray with the left hand, save by Jamison. That'll reset the shot clock, doesn't really matter. 11.8 seconds to go in the quarter. Here comes Chris Kavanagh. Brower's had his fill of Kavanaghs today. That one hits the back of the net. Jamison picks it up, launches it downfield. Entenmann makes the catch at the other end, and time runs out in the opening quarter. They went back and forth early. Duke took the lead at 4-3 when Dyson Williams scored with the extra man. Notre Dame closed with a 5-0 run. And in this rematch of last year's championship game, the Irish take an 8-4 lead into halftime. When we come back, we'll give you a taste of Kark and Charlotte's conversation with Brennan O'Neill and John Danowski. The pressure of expectations, the weight of scrutiny looms large for the Duke superstar, how he and his coach are handling it. Irish dominated that second quarter. They take a 4-goal lead into halftime. Notre Dame closed the opening half on a 5-0 run. Teams went back and forth early. Duke took a 4-3 lead, and then it was all Notre Dame from that point on. It was all Kavanagh brothers in the first half. They had a hand in 7 of the 8 Notre Dame goals. Anish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra, Quint Kesnick. Look at that first half. The stars for Notre Dame showed.
Yeah, and props to Kevin Corrigan and offensive coordinator Chris Wojcik. I think they've been brilliant in terms of the variety, how multiple they've been on offense. If you look at these goals, no two are the same. They are hitting Duke from all over the offensive sets. And Pat Kavanagh, to me, is just playing at a different level in terms of just his assertiveness and his want and his drive.
He's always been known as a guy who plays with uncommon competitive grit and effort, and today he's been super productive. He's got 4 goals and 1 assist. What stands out to me, Kark and Anish, is his ability to attack, whether it's from X, from the wing, or from up top. And so the Kavanaghs, Pat's 4-1, Chris is 2-1. At the other end, Liam Entenmann has 5 stops.
Yeah, once you think you can get a good look, if you're Duke in that offense, you have to deal with the championship most outstanding player from a year ago, Liam Entenmann, who, when the brights are light, or when the lights are bright, he's at a completely different level.
Brennan O'Neill without a point in that opening half, 0 for 4 shooting. And we mentioned in Duke's 2 losses this season, he's been a non-factor, 2 for 19 shooting in those games. He only had 1 goal against Penn, only had 1 goal in the loss to Syracuse.
Interesting, this weekend I covered the Penn State-Hopkins game, and Jeff Cambroni talking about halftime adjustments and how important they are in this era of lacrosse where there's so many good teams. What can you do to change a game?
Tyler Carpenter off the ground. Here is O'Neill. Dumps it behind the cage to Dyson Williams, and Duke in a settled set. McAdorey turns, fires. Entenmann got a piece of it. Battle here for the ground ball. Zawada and Light. And Zawada comes away with it. Now picked up by Napolitano.
Good look by Zawada, but man, that defense just collapsed, huh?
Andrew McAdorey had an assist in that opening half. It was the first goal. Here comes Max Sloat, the redshirt freshman. Skip pass to O'Neill, one more to McAdorey. Duke probes the perimeter. Now Duke's top incoming recruit, Ben Johnston. McAdorey saves the turnover. O'Neill looking to get on the board. Spins it back. Sloat didn't want it from the outside, 20 to shoot. O'Neill again. He's got a short stick, he's got a matchup. Where does the slide come? When does it come? O'Neill, overhand shot. Entenmann another save. It's shoveled ahead across the midfield line, and it comes back to Duke. Fresh 80. Now it looks like they're making a concerted effort, though, to get 34 involved here in the second half. McAdorey firing on the run, and that puts an end to a 5-0 Notre Dame scoring spurt.
We talk about Pat Kavanagh's energy for Notre Dame. That's Duke's version of the Energizer Bunny. Andrew McAdorey shot out of a cannon. We've seen 2 explosive moves. One was as a feeder, now as a shooter.
Right-handed rip on the run. He's got great acceleration. Lets that go before the double team can get to him, and the reset pays dividends.
You look at the location of the shot, that's one, but the second piece that was really impressive with McAdorey is how quick the release was. He knew that double was coming, and it wasn't this long, drawn-out type of
cradle to rip.
Yes, exactly.
Lynch wins this faceoff. For the first 14 games of last season, Will Lynch was under 50%, but starting with championship weekend to now, above 60%. He was viewed as Notre Dame's Achilles heel going into the national semifinals, and he balled out against Petey LaSala and Jake Naso in the semis and the final.
One of the most improved players at any position in the country. Their coaching staff points to his emotional maturity, the fact that he can deal with the wins and the losses better, and his study habits. The film, the referee cadence, all the details.
It's the journey. They threw him in right away as a true freshman. He was the guy. He took his lumps.
Here comes Pat Kavanagh, 4 goals already. Now Chris turns, fires, scores, and it is 9-5 Irish.
That stings because Duke does a wonderful job on the first Notre Dame push to the net. Watch the lift check under the lower glove and lift, and just handcuffs the shooter. But guess what? His brother's there to back it up, and he beats Bard to the goal line extended.
That is very smart of Chris Kavanagh, knowing, because Duke thinks they have the stop, right? So the ball trickles behind the cage right away. Immediately he attacks because he knows they're discombobulated. They're not able to recognize him as the dodger from behind.
3 goals for Chris Kavanagh, 4 for Pat Kavanagh. Chris came into this game as Notre Dame's leading scorer at 46 goals a season ago. Naso wins this faceoff. Duke tries to dent this 4-goal deficit. Blue Devils have lost 4 in a row to the Irish. third straight meeting between these two, with the teams both ranked in the top 5. Wilson, the long pole, runs off. Denenza will run on. Denenza out of the box against Donovan. Papendick, got to step on Harris, finds a cutting Williams. Entenmann sends it back. O'Neal off the rebound, gets on the board.
We talk about shot location tendencies. When Brennan gets the ball up top, where does Entenmann typically sit? Low and away. This shot location by Brennan O'Neal is brilliant on a goaltender that knows him inside out. Gets the rebound here, corrals it. Entenmann in that low base, and he stings him high.
That was the best looking Duke possession we've seen all day. Playing with a bit of sense of urgency, really sharp, putting pressure on this Notre Dame defense. Entenmann goes down to his knees, which really cuts his options down. He's thinking offside low.
And if you see that replay, Quint, it's that subtle movement. He drops his top hand just a little bit too, I think anticipating low and away.
And Colin Hagstrom to take that faceoff for Notre Dame. Had it won, the trail check by McGuire. And now the pendulum is swung toward Duke. An O'Neal goal, it's juiced to the crowd. McGuire comes up with a play. And the Blue Devils get it back, looking to make it a 2-goal game. Zawada picked up by the short stick. That's Christian Alakwa, the sophomore from Long Island. Another Chaminade kid. Zawada, a Raleigh native, began his career at Michigan. Left the Wolverines as their all-time point scorer.
Zawada's path is fascinating. Raleigh High School, Canadian High School.
Yep, the Hill Academy. Learned the box lacrosse way.
O'Neal, a little extra pep in his step. Now McAdorey against the freshman Light. From the outside, a howitzer by Sloat. Zawada the backup, 22 to shoot.
I like it. I like it. McAdorey draws the crowd. Sloat with the step down, middle of the field.
This Notre Dame defense designed to make you take poor angle shots, mostly from the outside. They've always had great goaltenders. Johnston almost lost it, recovers, 5 to shoot. Johnston puts it on Cage, missed the cage. 3 seconds on the shot clock. And Duke won't attempt.
ACC not kind to freshmen. Carter Parlett burying Johnston.
Ben Johnston
shot.
is a big boy.
And then stood over him.
That's about 230 pounds of beef.
Johnston, the #1 midfielder coming out of high school, top 5 recruit. Notre Dame has to get it across midfield before that shot clock hits 60, and they do.
You know what's interesting, gentlemen? You can tell that Duke defensively, the red alert was Jake Taylor inside. They've decided to not slide from him, shut him down. But as a result, the perimeter play has been terrific for Notre Dame. They're getting their spots and they're getting their looks from the perimeter with guys like Pat Kavanagh all over the offensive set.
Kavanaugh's dominated this matchup with Brower. Kenny Brower, a first-team All-American.
Seems like they've been sliding a little more in the second half.
Kavanagh looking for the cutter, and the quick stick by Taylor almost went in. We were talking about this off-air this past week. The through passing, the spot passing by Notre Dame this season, Quint, has been uncanny.
Somewhere along the line in the middle of last year, this team kind of ratcheted up a level in terms of their passing. They have great trust in Taylor on the inside, and Kark makes such an astute point. Couldn't leave him in the first half. That's why he had a lot of unassisted goals in the perimeter. Looks now in the second half like they're coming off of Taylor a little more. Coach Caputo may have changed things up at halftime.
A short stick matchup for Papendick. O'Neal against Conlon. O'Neal machetes through the defense, still hangs on to the ball, now has to retreat. Balsamo can't shake Ramsey. Denenza goal line extended. Denenza dusting two defenders. Right hand bouncer comes to Zawada. Feet in front, missed the cutter Williams. Donovan takes it the other way. Face on out of the box. 7.5 to play, quarter number 3. Championship game rematch. Notre Dame leads 9-6. The Irish beat Duke on Memorial Day last year. Here's Taylor on the inside. He was sandwiched. Frizzoli chases it down, keeps it in play. Excellent job by Will Frizzoli, who's become one of the premier LSMs in the country. Quint with the quality of defenses and goalies in the ACC. I think you're going to see more lower scoring games in this conference than we're accustomed to.
I agree, and I think the same goes for the Big Ten, quite honestly, this year.
McAdorey trying to go low to high, turned away, Entenmann the save. Long rebound near midfield. Parlett and Sloat, bodies flying.
Wow, what a play. What an incredible play.
Comes away with it off the ground.
Did you see him dive for that and then get up and get the ball?
These short sticks on both teams are incredible. Notre Dame uses a lot less. You'll see a heavy dose of Ben Ramsey and Carter Parlett. Those guys, they log miles.
Boiled off the ground like a slinky.
Yeah. You're talking about the lower scoring games too. You and I have had a conversation, Quint. The goaltending nationally too has been superb.
Really good year for goalies. And then you got the Ivy League.
Pat Kavanagh beats Brower again. Body save Jamison. Dobson on the rebound. Lost it. Carpenter the other way for Duke.
In Ivy League, it's like they start the scoreboard at 15s for each team. A lot of fun to watch.
Zawada, looking for O'Connor, who couldn't handle the pass. That was an unsettled opportunity, potentially wasted for Duke.
Here's the effort play. Watch the dive. Boom. Back to his feet.
And look who comes up with it. 21 in blue. Like, that is a film session. You gotta put a tab on that one, right? And just say, let's revisit this. What effort looks like.
You get to pick the first seat on the next road trip. Riley Gray will take O'Connor behind the cage. Gray turns the corner, missed the cage, and Duke wins the race to the sideline. Henry Bard.
Irish a little funky on offense now in the second half, right?
What's changed?
I think Duke's made that adjustment. Less concerned about Taylor. They're being more conscious.
They're going to help on the perimeter.
To double team and support on the perimeter matchups.
Because the fact of the matter is, Pat Kavanagh against Kenny Brower, who's a first-team All-American type player, he's owning that matchup because of where he's dodging from. He's not wasting his time attacking Brower from behind and trying to post up on goal line extended. He is playing him in space, and he's playing him from 2 o'clock, and he's playing him from 10 o'clock.
Big rip. Looks like Entenmann took that one off his right hand, maybe the thumb.
New 60, McAdorey. Dancing with Harris. McAdorey all the way. And a flag down as McAdorey crashes in the crease. And we're going to get a penalty, a push against Duke. So Notre Dame, or rather a push against Notre Dame. So Duke will have the extra man for 30 seconds.
McAdorey has gears, doesn't he?
Yes. And he's a little fearless.
Little sports car.
Yeah, he's fearless because when you make that move and you go underneath here, you know you're paying the price.
Redodge. I love the way he yo-yos.
Did you see a push there, though?
There's no push there.
There's no push.
I love the way his body, you step in, back up, the defender steps at you, and then you go.
That's a tough call. I mean, he left his feet voluntarily. Obviously, Kevin Corrigan doesn't agree either. Where's the push here?
Right there was the push by 77.
That looked like more like an equal pressure. I don't think they should have called that. Do you?
Not with the angle that McAdorey was on.
Here comes O'Neal. Thought about the outside shot.
It's not like he was heading tangent to the crease.
O'Neal this time takes it. Did that go in?
Wow. That
my
thing
gosh.
painted the corner.
Ooh.
Shook the goal. Shook the goal.
I thought for a minute that might have gone in.
Wow. You see the net move, but the net move's going to move when 100 miles an hour is smoking at you.
Denenza to Dyson Williams. Slam dunk. Second man-up goal for Williams. 3 goals on the afternoon. And it's 9-7.
When you're smoking the ball from the outside, the defense knows to press on 34 in white. The problem is you have one of the best finishers in Duke lacrosse history, and Dyson Williams, and the Blue Devils aren't going anywhere.
Duke at halftime honored its 2014 championship team. The likes of Jordan Wolf, Miles Jones, Deemer Class, Brendan Fowler. And who did Duke beat in the championship that year? It was Notre Dame.
Miles Jones, right-handed. What I remember about this game, honestly, I was calling with Eamon McAdorey, who was a Notre Dame alum. And so I had to maintain balance in the booth.
I was there too. I didn't have the booth cam. But to me, that was a 2-year magical run. And all these guys were honored at half. There's Miles and Jordan Wolf with the sunglasses on and the long sleeve gray shirt. To me, Jordan Wolf, I think he goes down as maybe the best player in college lacrosse never to win a Tewaaraton. He played during the same era as Lyle Thompson. What he did with those teams and the way that he quarterbacked that unit, one of the fastest players ever. Like when I think of Duke 2013, 2014, the one player, and there were so many great ones, the one player, though, I always associate it with is Jordan Wolf.
Yep. Won 2 national titles.
Uncommon speed.
Uncommon.
You remember how that game ended? Notre Dame tried to double him, and he just ran around everybody.
And that's right in his wheelhouse because I've gotten to know him well over the years. He's so competitive. Like, that's the moment he wants.
Hard to believe that was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Duke hasn't won a championship since, right?
No. They've been close. Now they played Yale in that championship in 2018, fell short. Got to the championship last year, obviously.
They've got the 3 in program history, 2010, 13, and 14.
Beat Notre Dame in 2010, too. One of the great finishes. Mostly a snoozer of a game.
Lousy game.
Ending,
lousy game. Highly overrated game.
Great ending. C.J. Costabile won the opening faceoff of overtime.
It's a storybook ending.
And scored. Skip pass. Dobson. The heat turned away by Jamison. It will stay with Notre Dame. The hustle by Dobson.
Might have been closer to the ball.
Who's closest?
When it goes out of bounds off a shot. I thought that was McGuire. Let's take a look at this. Because the ball is
I think
out
McGuire
already.
is close.
Yeah.
Ball's out already. Coach Danowski, former middle school general science teacher, probably using his geometry there.
Pythagorean theorem, right? Here's Chris Kavanagh. Dips under, flips it back. Kavanaugh's got 4 goals. Jamison out of the cage. And then they get the empty net goal with McLane. Jamison came out, and McLane got to the spot.
Jamison going over the autopsy report with the rest of the defense, and I tell you what happens here is McLane's just too slick.
He is. He's been an incredible combination with Jake Taylor in the inside. Devon McLane, the grad transfer from Brown, scored the first goal of the game for the Irish on that beautiful right-handed rip on the extra man. This time, he's one of those players, like the subtle movements, right? He just understands where ball movement is taking place, where the defensive pressure is. He's just with the doctor order because you give 2 guys that have inside presence on the Notre Dame offense, Taylor and McLane.
I don't love some of those schemes that ask for goalies to come out. You're supposed to come out and flush and then get back. That time, Jameson's out there like he's playing defense.
It doesn't end well, but for McLane, it's a big day for him. He's got 2 cousins on the Duke team, and Liam McLane, a junior attacker, and Colin McLane Jr., a midfielder for the Blue Devils. So right now it looks like Devon's got some bragging rights.
Loose ball call against Duke, so Notre Dame gets it back. And McLane, remember, was not just a 2-time All-Ivy League selection at Brown. A couple of years ago, on a Brown team that went to the NCAA tournament, he scored 40-plus goals. Angrick. Kavanagh will hunt it down. It'll stay with the Irish. Bard picks up Chris Kavanagh. Second midfield out there for the Irish. Riley Gray, Buzenkill, and Angrick. Kavanagh feeds Angrick, who scored in 3 straight. Back to Buzenkill. Buzenkill picked up by Caputo. Now Taylor, guarded by Wilson. He gave it up quickly. Gray retreats. Good defense by Duke. Kavanagh using the screen from Angrick. Now he's got the short stick matchup he wants. He'll take Gray back to X. Ball movement, it's Chris Kavanagh. Duke staying with it. Good rotations by the Blue Devils. 5 to shoot. Outstanding defensive possession for Duke.
Moving their feet, playing the ball well on the perimeter, but behind it, they just look more active now in this third quarter in terms of their slides and recovery packages.
I think they're in a more comfortable base defense, right? Because it looked like that first half, with all the attention on stopping the inside with Taylor, that takes you out of your normal sense and your normal base defense.
Final 20 seconds, quarter number 3. Irish lead by 3. O'Neal got his first goal earlier in this quarter. Out to Dinenza, less than 10 seconds. Dinenza feeds the wing. Balsamo, and a great look, just missed the cage.
It's the one you want back, right?
He's in that same spot as Fulton Bayman, right? When Fulton Bayman scored that goal, Bayman's release was more 3-quarter, not underhand.
After 3 quarters of play,
3 quarters in the books. Notre Dame 15 minutes away from making it 5 straight over Duke. Brennan O'Neal got his first tally of the game in that third. Dyson Williams, another goal. He's got a hat trick, but the Irish maintained their advantage. Kark, the ACC, well represented at the top of your big board. You've got the top 4. I see Will Mark, I see Dobson, I see Brower, I see Stevens, all in your top 12.
Yeah, and if you look at the top 3, the anticipation over the last few years, because all 3 of those guys were stars the minute they stepped on campus, kind of just awaiting this moment, right? When they became pro players, it feels like the 3 of them were attached together.
I said it yesterday during the Virginia game. In baseball, you had Willie Mickey and the Duke. In tennis, you have Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer. And the unique part of Schellenberger, Pat Kavanagh, and Brennan O'Neal, not only have they played against each other, they've done it for 4 years.
Yes.
And we've seen 2 of them win a title. We've seen another last year have one of the great individual seasons in terms of accolades and hardware that we've ever seen in the sport. ACC Player of the Year, Tewaaraton Award, MVP of the World Games for Brennan O'Neal. So their paths have always been intertwined, and as the PLL continues to grow, to see those rivalries continue, it's special for the sport.
2 things I love about it. It makes us better college analysts to have a PLL draft, to scrutinize all 100%. Of those seniors.
Yes.
To compare Jake Pisano and Cole Kastner and Garrett Degnan. And then 2, I love the way Jimmy Stagnita gives you grief on draft.
Yeah, that's fine. I do agree with you. You have to dive deep.
Face-on shot stopped by Jamison. The quick outlet up ahead to Carpenter. He tracks it down. The trail check. Face-on. Carpenter so good off the ground. Almost had it. Now he gets it back. Carpenter fires and scores! He stayed with it all the way.
We're talking PLL draft. One of the spots, position-wise, that's the deepest is the LSM. Guys who wreak havoc from end to end, and this guy's been doing it for years, Quint.
There's a lot of coaches who would have called timeout when he comes up with this ball right here. Right here, he's in the box. Oh, give me a timeout, timeout, timeout. Now with Tyler Carpenter, you let that play out, because he is a threat in transition. He's got the knack, he's got the hands, that hand-eye coordination. He's got magic in his stick, Tyler Carpenter.
Always has been great when the ball is on the floor. I mean, he is a complete vacuum cleaner.
A 3-time All-American. And he is also closing in on Duke's all-time record for caused turnovers, currently held by JT Giles Harris, who you can watch in the PLL. And right now, Duke pushing downhill, down 2.
This crowd is trying to give them a little energy, right? It's been hard for them to tie together good play, good play, good play.
Because of the defenses, too. These are the only 2 teams in the country that are top 5 offense and top 5 defense. They're so stingy.
Johnston over to Sloat. Harris tries to poke it away. He does. And Johnston, or rather Sloat, has to go back toward midfield. Now McAdorey gets that first step. McAdorey fires. Entenmann the save. O'Neal picks it up. He and Conlon hit the deck. Notre Dame gets it back. Light sets up the clear.
That was the look by McAdorey.
Ooh.
He had it perfectly set up for his skill set. A little juke, and then he had about a 20-yard span that he could just gas it.
He got to the dirt. He got to where he wanted to, but Entenmann.
They've got McAdorey trapped on defense. Notre Dame will leave Ramsey out there, short stick D midi.
See what they do with 24 in blue here.
Now Ramsey can score. It looked like they were trying to get the switch. They get it back to Ramsey, feeding Taylor. Underneath, oh my, he missed the cage. I tell you, Jake Taylor, he's got a vast wardrobe of moves around the crease.
It's great offense, though, and it's great offense by Ramsey.
Yeah.
And then you take it to the rack.
There comes Pat Kavanagh. Over to Taylor, he gets sandwiched. Comes to Chris Kavanagh, hums it high.
You got to be okay with those between the legs misses because they fall sometimes, and that's the mark of this offense.
Busenkill gets top side. 11-8 Notre Dame.
Jake Taylor can a lot of these. It's the creativity, it's the green light of an offense to know you don't have to look over your shoulder, Quint, because you're going to get it again.
And then off the end line, it's a second midfielder, Max Busenkill, right-handed. Exclamation, up the hash. Fighting Irish fans. Man, they have shown up in droves in South Bend this season. They're here today on the road.
Far side of the field from our booth. A lot of green. Busenkill's got 5 goals now. Sophomore from the Philly area. Top 50 recruit coming out of high school, where he also played quarterback for his football team. Face-off won by Duke. Frizzoli will play it back. Brower can't find it. Now
here come
the Piranhas.
Kavanagh's
and Pat
shoulder.
Kavanagh's hurt.
That's not a good look.
He gets immediate attention from Mandy Merritt, the athletic trainer, who did
And now a flag is thrown. Chris Kavanagh, his brother, came to Pat's defense right away. Kenny Brower standing off to the side early in the game. Brower and Kavanagh got into it. And Pat Kavanagh holding his shoulder. Remember, this is a kid who was basically duct taped at the end of last season when Notre Dame won its national championship.
He had the hamstring and then he had the shoulder.
Didn't play this fall at all. This moment is bigger than this game right now if you're a Notre Dame fan. He's tangled up and he just lands on it funny right there.
Yeah, that's nothing on the defender.
And right away you see it's the right shoulder. I couldn't agree with you more. It's so much bigger.
This moment.
This
right
moment,
here.
yes. Because you hope that it's nothing serious, because this team, his personality, his style, it trickles into every single player on this team.
And it trickled into Chris Kavanagh, who was flagged. He said something. It's an unreleasable penalty. You want to talk about a momentum swing. Notre Dame loses its best player. Pat Kavanagh has to come out of the game. His brother loses his cool in that moment. And now Duke will go man up, non-releasable, down 3. A lot of time left.
Kavanagh, helmet on, drinking water, though, has been released from any kind of medical attention, which is a huge positive sign.
Yes, it was the right shoulder. I see him right now drinking the Gatorade bottle with that hand.
And you saw Kevin Corrigan. He lets those guys play with emotion, but you saw him having some terse words with Chris Kavanagh. Hey, got to keep it under control on this spot. There comes Dinenzo over to McAdorey. Williams a couple of man-up goals today. He's camped out near the crease. Balsamo. Dinenzo off the crossbar. On the rebound, Entenmann the save on the shot from Zawada.
This guy's ridiculous in the cage.
A lot of pipe shots, but then Entenmann, I mean, you got to hit corners against Liam.
Liam Entenmann goes down, and he's hobbling. Notre Dame's going to have to use a timeout. Entenmann is hobbling on the far side. The officials will stop play because the injury happened behind the play. Liam Entenmann, the All-American goalie. This sequence, Quint, bigger than the game for Notre Dame.
Kavanagh's status is now he's coming back onto the field. Entenmann now, because they stopped the game, has to come out for a moment. And we're going to see Alex Zemp, the junior from Mineola.
Yeah, Zeph is one of 2 incredible backup goalies. Thomas Ricciardelli was the #1 rated goalie in high school lacrosse 2 years ago. When Entenmann leaves campus, that is going to be a battle for the ages. Right now, Zeph's on the field.
So this is going to be now a timeout. Duke takes a timeout, according to that official.
Well, if you call the timeout, you allow Entenmann to get back on the field as well.
And that's exactly what's happening. Entenmann's going to take his spot.
And Coach Corrigan looking for an explanation.
The officials are talking about it too, because we're just being told that a timeout may not have been called by Duke. The officials signaled that Duke called a timeout.
They're going to review this. The officials just given the review signal. I think you're Kevin Corrigan. You want to know where's the ball, who has it, how much is left on this Duke man up. Because remember, if it's Notre Dame ball, they've got a clear man down. So Duke's likely to turn up the heat.
Now, are they reviewing the shot that hit the crossbar?
Dinenzo rip.
I mean, that would be the only thing you can review in this spot. So it's going to be the Dinenzo shot that hit the crossbar that is under review. It's an official review.
Anish, after that ball hit the crossbar, I didn't see the trajectory directly down. It looked like the ball kind of
kicked out
to the opposite side.
Kicked out in front of the goal line. This is what the officials are looking at. Watch the ball off the crossbar. Where does it bounce? Where does it ricochet?
Oh, that's a goal.
That is a goal.
That's a goal.
That is a goal. It's a great call. Dyson Williams puts his hand up right away.
It was a Duke challenge.
So this ball hits the crossbar, it bounces into the goal, and it always comes back with backspin. So this is going to hit off the crossbar, bounce past the goal line, and then because of the spin, it'll kick out into the field of play.
That spin is what led me to think that it came out, right? That's incredible. That is a great look.
Yeah, we've slowed it down. It came out so fast. There were audible whispers in the audience. I wouldn't say whispers.
So it goes directly down and then spins out.
Backspin, yeah. The backspin's always going to kick that out. You see Dyson Williams on the goal line extended on the right side of your screen. He's got his hands up. He sees it. He had the best view.
You see at the end of that replay how the ball starts heading in the different direction? That tells you the velocity of that shot and the backspin.
Quinn, I know sometimes we get on replay for slowing down the game, but it's made for moments like this. This is a big moment. A goal on the board right now is obviously huge.
Kavanagh's penalty's unreleasable.
Look, I thought in the first month of the season, it was a kind of an ambitious rollout for a review in college lacrosse, and I thought there were some frivolous replay reviews in the month of February. Quite honestly, after week 3, I think the refs are doing a great job with replay.
And that should be clear as day. That's a goal.
And this is why we have replay.
To that point, I was having a conversation with our producer, John Kettering, last night. It's almost like replay hasn't been involved in the last few weeks.
No, they're using it on goal calls and an occasional high hit. This view can be beneficial for us if we can follow the ball.
I thought we had a great look.
Are you surprised it's taking this long?
Probably.
Yes.
Well, they got to go back and look at the clock.
Clean up the clock, too. Yeah, they're cleaning up the clock.
So that'll be Denenza, who's having a big day, by the way. Aiden Denenza's playing a really strong game.
Gotta go. I don't have conclusive evidence. I do not have conclusive evidence.
No goal. Wow.
Inconclusive, huh?
I mean, how much more conclusive does it have to be?
I mean, from our looks, that thing went directly down
across the goal line.
The entire ball has to cross the goal line.
Correct.
Isn't that what you saw?
Quint, how much more conclusive does it have to be?
You know, when you're looking at video outside, you're in a shade there. What's your resolution? How big can they blow it up?
I don't get that one. I don't get that one.
But this changes everything, because if that's a goal, it's a face-off, and Naso could win it because you're man down from the Kavanagh penalty.
And Duke loses its challenge.
You talk about a swing, Anish.
Well, they haven't docked Duke a timeout. They're supposed to. If that was a coach's challenge.
Back to even strength. Feels like a storyline this year, Anish. Non-releasable penalties also. Like they're changing games.
Here comes Johnston. Skip pass, McAdorey whizzes it just offline, and O'Neal will take it out.
Duke's getting looks. Duke's suddenly getting looks.
Here comes O'Neal. He's got the short stick matchup with Ramsey. The Tuarton winner with his second goal and a fist pump. Duke within 2.
What's so impressive about this move is a lot of times when you attack a short stick and you get underneath, you lose some of your line. But when you're 245 pounds of pure muscle, he keeps his angle here, stays on the short stick. Ben Ramsey's one of the best in the country, but you're not moving that. And while he uses his strength, he brings the stick back to his left hand to keep that angle.
Power and dexterity, really amazing that he can switch from right to left there while under that kind of pressure.
And not getting checked.
Face-off won by Lynch. Accelerates ahead, puts it on goal. Jamison got a piece. Chris Kavanagh's got a backup.
Pat's back in.
Good news for Notre Dame.
That looked...
It looked bad.
It looked bad because the moment he hit the ground, he started holding his shoulder, and you could tell he was screaming.
Antiman's in there as well. Now, this was a physical game, too, last year on Memorial Day. First midfield for the Irish. McLane, Dobson, and Faceoff. Pat Kavanagh gives it up. Here's McLane. Chris Kavanagh. It will stay with the Irish. Taylor's got the backup.
To that point about physicality, Anish, I think both these rosters are built to make that run into May. Hotter temperatures. They both run 2 midfields. They got good depth at the defensive position. There are others out there that I can't say the same for.
Duke a little deeper at the defensive midfield position from a short stick perspective. Notre Dame has the elite guys, but not as many.
Dobson's pass, it's tipped. Henry Bard has it. Trying to get it away from Chris Kavanagh. Up ahead to McGuire. He's a threat in transition. 7 career goals. O'Neal. Skip pass. Frizzoli. Over to Zawada. Crease feed. Dyson Williams. His 4th. And we've got a 1-goal game.
prettiest goal of the day for Duke. They run the trailer break to perfection.
Look at Brennan O'Neill here, the confidence that he has in Frisoli. I think Frisoli makes this play happen. A lot of times defensive midfielders will get a little anxious and want to shoot that. It's right to Zawada, who finds guess who on the backside. And when you want to beat Entenmann, you saw what he did last week. Just give him that extra fake.
He gave him everything. He gave him the head and shoulder, the high, the low, the high, back down low. Magical hands from Dyson.
Dyson Williams in the top 5 all-time in goals at Duke, as is Brennan O'Neill. Here comes McAdorey. And he ties the game at 11.
Sellout crowd. We've got something. Jake Naso, first team All-American a year ago. Brass knuckle match with Will Lynch and the catapult from McAdorey.
Two things stand out. McAdorey's on the wing of the faceoff, so they transition in offense right away, and then the rollback to set up his strong right hand.
That's the catapult I'm mentioning. Like, he uses it all in his momentum. It's a catch, and as he catches, he turns in the torque.
Duke was down 4 at halftime. They trailed by 3 going into the fourth quarter.
Naso got hammered.
That's a late flag.
Plays it back, and now the penalty coming. A 4-1 run by the Blue Devils in this fourth quarter. 8:53 to go.
Naso gets rocked here. See the replay, Quint. Goes up for it.
That is a clean lacrosse hit.
And that flag was super late, too.
That
I think the flag was more of the reaction.
Result. There was a result of the player staying down on the field. There was nothing illegal. 2 hands on his stick, hit with the shoulder. There's no elbow. There's no cross check. There's no helmet to helmet or helmet to neck contact. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I spotted right away it was a really late flag, and the flag didn't come until probably 3 or 4 seconds after the hit, once the ref sees that Naso's down.
Is there an elbow there? Am I blind?
I didn't see it either. But again, we thought we saw a ball go in that was called no goal upon review. McAdorey to O'Neill. McAdorey's got 2, O'Neill's got 2. O'Neill steps into one, the crank. Boy, there is a sense of anticipation. You could feel the hush in the crowd when he gets ready to shoot.
And Entenmann points to his teammates, like, you please go cover 34.
The rules apply different to him.
O'Neill's been a man-up assassin in his career. Balsamo. O'Neill gets it back. Zawada. Denenza, shot blocked.
Just love the way Duke's playing.
And it's going to Notre Dame again.
Parlett,
that's a shot.
Hustle.
Who's closest when it goes out of bounds? And it was Parlett. 15 seconds and ticking on this Duke extra man. Notre Dame will wait to get to even strength.
A lot of time.
Number 2, Fulton Bayman is out there again.
Tons of time now. We got a half a quarter. Just getting started, right?
6 on 6.
First midfield's been a little quiet today for Notre Dame.
Dobson and Faison without a goal. Here comes Faison. This Duke defense.
They're double polling this unit right now. So there's a short stick on an attacker. That's Bayman. Bayman, 2 in blue, has a short stick.
And Bayman's in there for Taylor. Here's Chris Kavanagh on a bounce to Bayman. The Atlanta native. Over to Pat Kavanagh. Working on Brower. Kavanagh turns the corner, missed the cage. Bayman will go, dig it out. Less than 20 to shoot. tied at 11. First meeting between these two since last year's national championship.
If you're Bayman, you want to get slippery. You do not want to get into the body of Jack Gray.
There's Pat Kavanagh. McLane, Dobson, face dodge. Dobson fires, scores. Irish back on top.
People have been questioning his assertiveness when he's going to take over games. Well, he's picking a good time right now, Quint.
As a midi, when you've got a defender rushing at you with a high stick, great time, whoop, face dodge. Dobson, terrific move and finish. Game on.
Duke meets Notre Dame for the national championship. Picked up by Kavanagh, who stings the top shelf. McCann fires on the empty net and hits. 4 unanswered for Duke. We are tied at 7. Now Chris Kavanagh from the crease, stopping. The goal is good. The Fighting Irish play like a champion today. Notre Dame with its first title in men's lacrosse.
And the Irish began the year as preseason number 1. Lost that top spot after a loss to Georgetown. They're back up at 1. Duke at number 3. A Blue Devil win today would likely garner a lot of support for Duke as the new number 1. It's a 1-goal game, less than 7 minutes to go. Notre Dame has won 4 straight against Duke. Last year, Memorial Day, it was an exorcism of sort for the Irish, who had been eliminated by Duke 5 times in the NCAA tournament, starting with that 2010 championship game when C.J. Costabile scored the goal in overtime.
At your most challenging, stressful, and fearful moment, seek love. Think about the love. And it was Notre Dame, inspired by John Gordon, the author, that in the moment of crisis, look around you, you love your teammates, you love the game, you love your fans, you love the moment. That's how you get through.
Did you go on some kind of meditation retreat recently?
I think a lot of it.
Who are you?
A lot of it can be attributed to the cast of characters on this team who've been through a lot. The COVID year, and they've been 4-year starters, right? Now they're back for their 5th year.
Brian Tevlin, to me, won
Bring
that
him into the locker room, too.
We saw it at practice on Friday. We saw it on Monday when the game winner.
Pieces to a puzzle.
You remember Brian Tevlin at practice on Friday?
I was not expecting Kumbaya coming from Q.
I'll tell you, as this game gets deep, though, the face-off, there was a discrepancy between Naso and Will Lynch, and now it's, whoa.
Oh, there's Jake Taylor, Major League from Pat Kavanagh. Another assist for Kavanagh, who's Notre Dame's all-time leader in that category, and the cushion is 2 for the Irish.
Kavanagh looks like he's got a shoulder brace on now, the way he's celebrating. But we've been talking about the way Duke's defense in the first half didn't slide. Well, they're sending double teams now in the second half. And Taylor flashes from a high slot area. He cuts to the far post, and that's a spot feed to perfection.
Yeah, that look wasn't there in the first half. But I was getting at when Kavanagh made that feed to Taylor, there's been a shift. Lynch was dominating this matchup for 2.5 quarters. Statistically, but Naso, this last quarter, he's been on a run and he's putting Duke in a position to answer.
First goal of the game for Taylor, Notre Dame's top goal scorer. 7-point afternoon for Kavanagh. We'll get a whistle.
Yeah, Will Lynch jumped.
And it comes back to Duke. Still plenty of time, less than 6 minutes to go. Blue Devils down 2. Naso, nobody picked him up. Entenmann sends it back. And it will stay with Duke. It's Gray. Taylor was coming from the other side. That was closer than maybe you thought. Nenza and Balsamo joining McAdorey now on this midfield unit. So John Danowski goes to his veterans. And it's Balsamo. He's got the shorty, Alakwa.
He was getting pulled every single time when he runs the shifts with the seconds. Now he's got a short stick. One in white has a matchup.
Now this is a veteran midfield unit now. The freshmen are off the field. Denenza Spinning on Donovan, turns, and he misses. O'Neal.
Denenza got buried late.
Here's Brennan O'Neal with the restart. Against Conlon, now on the switch. He's got the shorty Alakwa. Slide's gonna have to come. O'Neal to the far side in Zawada, or rather Denenza. O'Neal gets it back.
Hold this.
15 to shoot. Here comes the help from Napolitano. They move it to McAdorey. Comes back to McAdorey. Notre Dame recovering. O'Neal behind the back on the run from the wing. Only 3 to shoot.
It's the right shot. You're losing your angle. You could shoot it on the run behind the back
with
at that velocity. Yeah.
And especially late in the shot clock. That was a good offensive possession.
They're trying to feed the crease there. Entenmann picks it off.
I like the movement, and I like the passing from Duke on that possession, quite honestly.
And the picking to get the switch for O'Neal.
So you got to give the ND defense a lot of credit.
Let's take a look at this BTB on the run. Left side of your screen. Losing the angle, going BTB is like shooting right-handed there. That's got some gas.
How many guys can do that with that kind of velocity?
Gary Gate, Paul Gate.
It had smoke on its trail.
Chris Kavanagh looking to shake Bard, gives it up to Faison. The Notre Dame wide receiver, Faison, has it trail checked away. Faison came to school on a partial lacrosse scholarship. He was a walk-on for football. Things have now changed. He's on a full football scholarship. It happens when you catch 5 passes for more than 100 yards in a bowl game and are named MVP of the Sun Bowl.
He's been double duty lately as Notre Dame has their spring football practice with a new offensive coordinator. He's got to stay in touch with that group in terms of schemes, terminology.
Gotta be exhausting.
And so he's double duty, and I think when we turn the page to May, he'll probably be in a better spot energy-wise.
Here comes Chris Kavanagh.
I would agree. You'd have the spring game behind you in football. That's a lot to ask, not
Freshman,
to mention the rigorous academics.
Notre Dame's legit, not easy.
And Pat Kavanagh with the shot clock running down, throws it away. Duke down 2, 3 minutes plus to go in regulation. The Blue Devils have not led since it was 4-3. They pulled even at 11-11 earlier in this quarter, but Notre Dame responded with goals by Dobson and Taylor, who had not scored up until that point. Johnston with a step on Parlett. Swings it back to the middle. McAdorey, kick save, Entenmann. It stays with Duke.
He's something else.
He is. 14 saves now for Entenmann in the championship last year. He had 18. Only gave up 9 in the Notre Dame win. He was the goalie of the year in lacrosse a season ago. Sloat to Dyson Williams looking for number 5. Duke keeps it, 47 to shoot, 2:31 on the game clock. Zawada on the freshman light. Sloat got that left hand free. That's probably not the shot you want. And now Brennan O'Neal will get the touch. O'Neal has a short stick matchup. O'Neal, the twister, not there. It stays with Duke. Shot clock at 28. 2:12 left.
We're all over it, Liam. Here we go, Carter.
Sloat on the run. And Duke's not hitting the cage.
There, Carter.
Here's O'Neal again. Marked by Conlon.
We'll get a switch here. They've been successful getting the switch for O'Neal.
Zawada over to Johnston. His pass for O'Neal is knocked down. It was tipped, rolling toward midfield. Wilson tries to push it back on the offensive half. A chance for the Irish. Taylor, 1-on-0. Taylor all the way.
Jake Taylor, 1-on-1 with a goalie. Automatic.
That's something you see in sixes.
Taylor points back to his defensive mates. It's run out by Notre Dame. Good handle right here. It's Conlon, who was an investment banker during the fall, taking a job up in New York City, who said, you know what? I got one more shot to play college lacrosse. I'm going to exercise that right. And here he is with the long distance assist.
Look, you're 30 years removed from lacrosse. If someone told you you could have another year of college,
sign me up, Kark. Sign me up,
pause
please.
on the real world.
Sign me
you
up.
need your head checked not to do it.
Taylor and Dobson have scored the last 3 goals for the Irish, but they're here because of 2 of their biggest constants, 3 of their biggest constants, the Kavanagh brothers and their goalie, Liam Entenmann.
Big Bojangle moments. Low to high, Chris Kavanagh. Pat showing you the ability to catch in traffic and finish. And Liam Entenmann, the door closes, game in and game out. The ice in the veins. When you think of big goalie play in this generation, he's the guy.
That is our Bojangles big Bo moment of today's game. And Quint, how many times have we seen this Notre Dame defense built like a labyrinth, and they've got a minotaur at the end in Liam Entenmann?
I tell you, what stands out to me is the quality of his stops. You're talking low stick side kick saves, offside low. These aren't like coming directly at his stick. What has also been amazing about his performance is just the fearlessness in dealing with Brennan O'Neill. I mean, and Dyson Williams on the inside.
Yep.
He's maintained that steady demeanor.
You know, over the years, because of the way that they've played rock-solid defense at Notre Dame, a lot of people sometimes don't give the credit to the goalie, right? But if you really watch him over the last couple of years, the amount of electric saves that he's made, like you leave with your jaw on the floor.
It's a young goalie who grew up in Massapequa, Long Island, part of that Massapequa Mud Hens rec program. You think of it, all good stuff, and he starts with rec. You're seeing it with your daughter right now. Everybody, Yorktown, great rec. My Limburg Titan program, great. It all starts with rec.
And you know how a lot of these goalies end up being the guy between the pipes? It's because you go to a rec, and everyone plays a little bit of every position, and one time the goalie might not show up, and a guy like Entenmann, they're going to say to you, oh, you're a midi, but today you're a goalie. And then you get hit with your first shot, and then you fall in love with the spot.
Quint, your daughter, similar story. She's a goalie now.
If anyone in this world deserved to have a child who's a goalie, it's this guy. I cannot wait till the nerves start flowing. Good luck, my friend.
It's been fantastic, honestly. One of the best things I've done.
Less than 90 seconds to go. You saw the bug pop up there, Virginia and Duke. Next weekend, Duke has owned Virginia in the Danowski era. 2 o'clock on the ACC network. Blue Devils down 3. They got to go quickly, and they need Naso to win faceoffs.
Entenmann's performance forcing a lot of these Duke shots wide.
We've seen it a lot. Great goalies, you tend to try to be too perfect. Sloat lets it rip. Duke within 2, and there's time. 1:03 to go. You've got Naso, who's won more faceoffs than any other Blue Devil.
Lefty rip to the opposite low corner. It comes down to faceoffs from here, Kark. Make it, take it.
Naso's been hot. To beat Entenmann, did you hear the pipe? Your shot has to be almost perfect. And Sloat just hammers this to the bottom corner offside. That ball is absolutely humming. But this is a face-off that if you're Duke, you got to feel good if you look at the trends in this game.
Yeah, they go with Gray and McGuire on the wings.
Defensive midfielders who are both offensive players in high school. They can score.
Naso and Lynch. They played at rival high schools on Long Island. Lynch kicks it back. Parlett scoops it, tries to. Duke comes away with it. And we're going to get a call against Duke.
They say he's out of the box.
Because Parlett missed the scoop, the Duke player steps out of the box anticipating that he's going to scoop
possession.
it to riding it. And so possession was never ensured by Parlett.
So Notre Dame will get it back.
They still would have been able to get that ground ball.
Nobody can get involved with the faceoffs outside of the faceoff man and the wing player. when that ball's in the restraining area. It comes back to Duke, however. Here's McAdorey. Balsamo through an ambush. And he turns it over. Couldn't get out of that thicket of Irish defenders. 32 seconds to go.
Duke out of timeouts. Couldn't bail out.
The speedy face-on. Tight ropes the sideline. Punt return clear.
I was going to say, that is a punt return clear.
That's the guy you want doing it. And he'll play keep away. Here's a double team, and here's a timeout by Kevin Corrigan. 16.3 seconds to go. The Irish on the verge of their biggest win of the season. They haven't played many games. They usually don't. And it's interesting. Kevin Corrigan, when we spoke to him, he likes having that smaller schedule in terms of games. We saw Pat Kavanagh go down with what at the time looked like a serious shoulder injury. They're careful with him, Quint. They have him on a pitch count. They monitor him because sometimes the way he plays, you have to protect him from himself.
They put a brace on him after that. He hit falling on the turf. It was kind of an awkward fall. And his health is paramount to this franchise. This is a Notre Dame team. They'll host Cornell next week.
Actually, I think that game's at a neutral site on Long Island.
Oh, it is? Oh,
yes.
Long Island. Yeah, you're right.
That would be great. That will, if the weather's nice, that place will be packed. Think of all the fighting Irish alum. I mean, Eamon McAdorey's going to go to that game dressed like a leprechaun.
ACC Ivy, one of the last cross-pollination with conferences, because it's been all league play from here on out.
Duke closes with Virginia, and then they have another bye week before North Carolina. Then you've got the ACC tournament. So you said it, Quint, early in the broadcast. This is very likely round one. It could be a 3-round fight. These two could play again in the ACC tournament, and it would surprise nobody if we saw these two play in the NCAA tournament.
We're 4 weeks away from Selection Sunday, May 5th.
Yep. The one thing that would concern me as a whole with this league is with the ACC tournament back. There's 5 teams in the league, only 4 will go to the ACC championship. There's no automatic bid. That weekend, from just a health perspective, you're beating your bodies up right before the NCAA tournament.
I agree.
It's the first ACC tournament that the league will stage since 2019.
That's May 3rd, May 5th in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yep.
At American Legion Stadium, right?
Yep. You think about Virginia always would have that weekend off, right? It was their way of getting healthy.
Chris Kavanagh will put it on the empty net, and that's the final dagger. For Kavanagh, it's his 4th goal. His brother Pat, 4 goals and 3 assists. Those two have combined for 12 points today.
Notre Dame will be the team to beat from here on out. This will propel them to the #1 RPI. They've got to be unanimous #1 after this game. I'm not sure how Virginia's getting first place votes. People must not watch games.
If you look at Notre Dame post Georgetown, they are unequivocally the best team in college lacrosse with 0 holes, right? Like, what are the question marks of this team? Do you have any?
Short stick defensive depth. I mean, you're talking about like roster spots 18 through 25.
Maybe get another guy in the mix there, right? Just for depth and health. But their top end short stick D middies are elite.
Final seconds will tick off. McAdorey with one final shot. Notre Dame prevails. They come to Durham and they knock off Duke at Koskinen Stadium. A game that was billed as a rematch of last year's national championship. It was 1 versus 3. The Irish led for most of this game, and they pull away with a 15-12 win. Next up for Notre Dame, a date with Cornell. Duke will take on Virginia next weekend in what should be another top 5 clash in the ACC.